So I'm Sharon. I am from Uruguay, and I have been working with Bitrefill for 2 years now. I started in our customer happiness team, and now I'm part of the HR and recruitment team.
So I'm Stina. I'm the COO, the head of operations at Bitrefill. I've been with the company for 4.5 years now.
And I started in July last year as a recruitment coordinator in Bitrefill, and it has been amazing so far. It's a great company. But tell me about your journey, because you started in customer support and now you are doing HR/recruitment. Tell us about that.
Exactly, yeah. So I started, 2 years ago. I was working in customer service, which was what I was more experienced in. So I started there. I guess something very special about Bitrefill is that you can get involved in other projects other than your main role. So that was my case. I was working in customer service, and I remember my manager asking me, like, is there something else you feel interested in that has nothing to do and you can like put some time into it? And that's when I was told that maybe we needed some help with recruitment. Stina needed some help. So I was very excited for that. I have actually never done it before, but Stina was very sure that she could teach me and help me understand. So yeah, I started by helping, and then at some point, I guess we realized we needed someone more time, and that's when I did the move, right? Full.
And you also have an interesting background from your studies that fits very well with.
Right. Yeah, I come from a psychology background. I was a bit disconnected from that before, but then. I guess with this change, I got to connect with that again and to working more with people and see how people are feeling, making sure they are okay. Yeah, it has been amazing so far.
And how was it for you, Stina, to build the department from the ground, together with the rest of the team, of course, but how was it?
It's been challenging, but also a lot of fun. When I joined Bitrefill, it was only 10 people. Working in the company, and now we're almost 70. So it's been a journey of growth, and it was quite evident and from the beginning that it needed to be a remote company, because if you try to hire the best and also people that are interested in cryptocurrency, then you cannot look in the neighborhood of your city, because it requires some unique skills and also interest, at least at that time. When I started, we started like looking for people from all over the world instead of just in Sweden. From that perspective, and the journey of a remote company just kind of like started from there, of adding more and more people that was working from different locations.
How difficult is to run? I started in July last year, but I wasn't there when you started building that department and dealing with so many different people with so many different backgrounds and all that. What are the challenges that you faced and that you predict that you are gonna face in the future to deal with?
So, by being remote first, there are some challenges you avoid, right? Because you don't have like the normal like office politics and so forth. Normally there ends up being like less conflicts and things like that, because it's not like, oh, you stole my coffee mug and you took my lunch, and you kind of avoid those things. But at the same time, you miss out on the conversations by the coffee machine and the Friday afterworks and these kind of things, which becomes challenging from a culture perspective, because how do you build culture from that, right?
Yeah, and I guess it also happens when each one of us is working remotely, working at home. You're kind of in front of a computer, but nobody's really seeing your face, seeing how you're feeling that day, if you're having a bad day or if something happened to you. So there are different strategies or tools that we use to make sure that we stay connected, that even though we are all in different corners of the world, we get some time to see each other, connect, and make sure that we know how other people are feeling and what's going on in their lives as well. So that's...
And one of these things is our bonanzas, or team retreats, right? And we're on one right now as we're recording this. And This is like twice a year. We bring everybody from the company together in one location. And this has also developed during the years from being we all rent a small house together or an apartment and go somewhere just 10 people to now being like 60 people staying at a hotel, you know.
And there's something very unique, I guess, because whenever I tell someone I'm going on a work trip, the typical thought is like you're going to meet a customer or you're going to do some business or things like that. And I guess our bonanzas are about something else that is connecting to each other, seeing in person the people that you work with every single day.
And it's really important. It's really different to work after a bonanza with people that you already met. At least in my perspective so far, it was completely different. You know how people react to your messages, how people are so outgoing and so easy to and so approachable. And it's really a good perk that Bitrefill has, and I think it's getting more challenging, I suppose, because we are growing. But it is indeed something that anyone that starts here should experience.
And it becomes like we try to cram all the coffee breaks and all the afterworks and stuff into 1 week, right? Like 2 times a year. So it becomes a great bonding experience for people, because it's also a lot about the social stuff and so forth, of doing parties together, but also like going on excursions and doing different activities and so forth.
Definitely. And also like we always try to choose a different place of where we meet, and that's always interesting because we come from different places of the world. So we are already a diverse and international team, and depending on where we go, it's like it changes the perspective of each person. For example, maybe if we go to somewhere close to where someone lives,
it's different, right? It becomes more exotic for some people the further you travel, but also for quite a fair amount of people in the team, it has been their like first time traveling outside their country, coming to these team retreats.
Which is also challenging and somehow, because sometimes we have people that are not used to this experience. There are always the gap of backgrounds, culture, that we need to kind of create a bridge and somehow get along with each other and create this awesome culture where we have people from everywhere in the globe and people that work in many different parts of the company, and we can get along together without any kind of constraints.
But I think having such a big diversity in like backgrounds and countries and all of this, right? It creates a better like understanding and acceptance for each other, instead of like if you were like, oh, there was like 8 people, they were all from New York, and then there was another 8 people who were all from Germany, you know. There will probably be more crashes than instead of we have like 27 different nationalities out of a team of 70, right? So there's like not so many people from one country, and there's a lot of different countries, and that it builds like a better like mix of different experiences and different cultures that kind of like binds people together in a different way, right?
In a very inclusive way. How was it back in the day when you started the recruitment process how was it to the first hire in a random country in Bitrefill?
Oh, it was a little bit of a mess when I first started, but there was kind of a process where we put jobs on Angel List, and then we got lots of applications, and we screened those, and then we had 1 or 2 interviews or something like this with the candidate, and I think the recruitment process have developed a lot during the years, where now I think we're in a very good balance between like not doing enough and overdoing it, where it becomes a manageable process for us, but also a nice experience for the candidate, right? That it's not too many jumps, but it's still like it's difficult to get the job at Bitrefill, but it's not impossible.
So far, what's the feedback that you have been receiving along over the years?
I think something a little bit unique or different that we have in our recruitment process is even though we know talking interviews are important and it's great to have conversations with the candidates, many times the roles that we hire for are very technical, and we don't want to be so boring with candidates making 7 different interviews in which you need to reply to the same questions and the same things. So we try to keep the process very practical. So you do get to talk with us, and we get to meet the candidate. But then, the next step is more of a practical assignment, which helps the candidate understand what the role is about and which kind of tasks they would be working on, and helps us understand how they work and how they do things in practice, which is what they will end up doing. So we try to keep it like that, and it has been great so far.
I have been learning on the go in some things, and one of the things that I have been realizing is that we really prioritize the soft skills and the cultural fit, because we believe that technical skills can be learned on the go, and that's one of the great things that Bitrefill has. We prioritize humans instead of machines, if I may say, which is great. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stina, it happened in a very natural way. It wasn't like a strict process. It was like, no, we know each other, we know what we like to be, and that's what we want to protect, I suppose.
Yeah, and it was for some years also like a gut feeling about people, right? When you talk to them. And
so many times I think we have been doing is finding people that have potential to be on a role. Maybe the person is not the most experienced in a certain task, but we feel like, yeah, culturally they are great, and they seem committed, and they seem to have the right potential to do the task and the role. And I think, at least I feel like I'm an example of that. You are as well. We all are in a certain way, and I think that's great. That you don't need to be a specialist in something. If you have the desire, and if you are willing to, you will have the chance here to grow and to do things that you haven't never done before.
Yeah. I knew Bitrefill via João, which was at the time, and it is still his general counsel of Bitrefill, in the process of changing jobs, because I quit my previous job. I was working as a lawyer, and people keep saying that I was a people's pleaser and so on, and I was like, well, let me try HR. So I applied for many different jobs, and then João heard about me, about change, and he told me, well, you might be a good fit for the company. It was an internal referral, which is currently one of the main ways to hire people. One of the things that really caught my attention was, if João was telling me about the company, which would be always a good thing. But at the same time, when I was reading the website, reading all the documentation that we have there, I was, well, this is completely working in the future, because I was used to a very formal environment, super strict, and working with old tools. And I was super attracted to live and work in this different environment. And that was it. Then I met Stina. Was my first interview was with Stina, which was super hard to read. I was like, okay, let's see if I got it right. And then I met you also in the following interview. I think that was it. And then I met Sergey as well, Stina and Sharon in the same interview. And I think that was it.
So who was easiest to read, me, Sharon, or Sergey?
I think Sharon. Don't ask me for the artist, please. And what about you? So how you end up here in Bitrefill? How was it like? Who found you? Was it you?
Me?
Yeah. Both.
I joined because back in 2016, so that's like a long time ago, I worked at an American investment firm, a venture capital firm, where we made an investment into Bitrefill. So this is how I first met Sergey and Michael and Michelle and so forth. It was just as they were making the first hire, so they hired Remy, which now is the CTO. And I really liked the mission that they were on, and also the people in the company. So I kept in contact with them and followed their journey. And a couple of years later, I was looking at what to do next in my career. And often, as you work in venture capital, it's good to go and do something operational in a startup for a while. And I was thinking about where I wanted to go, where is like the good people that are on a mission that is very important and will make a difference in people's lives. And then me and Sergey talked, and I ended up as the head of operations at Bitrefill. And this is now 4.5 years ago. So it was a journey from being on the investor side. So I think, yeah.
Nice. And you, Sharon?
So my story, I guess I was in 2021. I was living in Sweden for a while. I was actually looking for a job, while I was there. I actually never expected to actually get a job that I could bring back home to Uruguay and continue working and be so happy. But I had low expectations. I was looking for a job in what I had experience in. I almost, when you apply to jobs many times, you don't get any answers, and then suddenly you get all the answers at the same time. So in my case, I got an answer and an offer from a job, and I was almost about to start when Bitrefill reached out. And I remember Bitrefill because I remember it was related to crypto, and I remember seeing the career site where there were and there still are a lot of pictures that show how the culture is, which the other company didn't have. So I said, okay, maybe I'll give it a chance, even though I already have something safe, that is something concrete. I would give this a try as well, and it was the best decision ever, because I decided, of course, to come with Bitrefill, and then. I was really lucky, I guess, to be able to just grab my laptop and go back home to the other side of the world and continue working. And so, here I am.
Yeah. But when I joined, there was no career site.
Okay.
It's one of the things that has been implemented later.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned how, this is for both of you, but how was it to manage so many different time zones and countries, and manage to have meetings with people and the freedom, because we don't have a strict schedule for it, at least that's the mindset and all of that.
Yeah, you just have to do the best you can, right? At the beginning of the remote journey, it was most of the people in Sweden, but quite a few of them remotely. And then outside of Sweden, we had somebody in Cyprus and somebody in Romania at the time, and 2 people in the US. So it wasn't that spread out, but still you work with the Europe time zone and the US time zone and the US West Coast time zone, right? So it's 9 hours different. And then you need to have the meetings a bit in the late afternoon for the European people, the early morning for the US people. But the end, it works out. But you're not gonna have 9 hours where everybody's in the office at the same time, obviously, right? Because we're spread, and now we spread even more around the world. So.
Yeah, but I mean, the company was established in 2014, and we started working remotely when most of the companies were not used to that mindset. So it's interesting to see that we are doing the remote work and all the freedom that it has, and in a way that people are starting to do right now. We are in the head of the curve. So how was it to manage to be pioneers in somehow in that field?
I don't think it's something that anybody thought about, like, oh, now we're pioneers in the remote working thing, right? It just came natural out of like necessity, that is how the company needed to be built in order to be successful, right?
And I guess it's also, it's kind of part of the company's identity to do something different, to do things that nobody ever did before. So I guess it's part of, this nature in which we're used to doing things for the first time, or trying our best and trying to take risks, maybe to see how we can make things happen in such an environment that changes all the time, that it moves fast. So it happens both in crypto, in the company, in like everything is very dynamic. So I guess we were born like that.
I can tell my experience when I started. For me, it was mind-blowing how structured it is, the onboarding, how good it is in terms of in a way we are working remotely, but at the same time we have the chance to meet a lot of people in a thing that we call virtual coffees. We have many folders with different topics that people should read and be aware of in order to start in a certain level of knowledge, in order to start with something. But we have been improving, I think. Sharon, maybe you can add more information, because you were the one that I think built the onboarding folder that actually exists.
I guess together. But I think an interesting part is, so when you're starting a new job, usually like you go to the office and it's your first day and you're getting to know the people and the place. In our case, you start your job and like you're at home, so it's a little bit different. And I guess what we do that is very special is to like organize virtual coffees or virtual chats with people that have been here for a longer time. So you join, and you can get to talk to someone from a different team, or someone from your same country or from a completely different country, and get a feeling of how people are feeling at work. Which is a great way to understand the culture, to understand how things work. And because it's a virtual onboarding, we also have what you mentioned of this documentation in which you can find everything that you need to know when you join the company. And also so we don't make it like, so we don't make your onboarding be like, I don't know, 5-hour calls with HR, but most like a format in which you can independently read in your own time, learn as you go.
Yeah, and as you would in any job, you get like computers and also, since you're working from home, like desk and chair and all of these things are important, even if you don't come to an office, where we can provide you with like an ergonomical chair there, right?
Exactly, yeah. So most of us don't have an office where we go to, so it's important to have a very comfortable home office. And for that reason, we have a few different processes or perks and benefits in Bitrefill. One of them is to set up your home office, your workspace, making sure you have everything you need to be comfortable and healthy. And we also have some other perks for everyone in the team, like, for example, a health allowance, so you can use it for your gym subscription or swimming lessons or whatever will make you not be sitting down in your computer all day and going out.
Exactly. You know? It was kind of funny when we launched that, because there were some people who was like messaging me like, oh, can I buy these computer games for my health allowance? It's kind of meditative for me to play computer games. And I had to explain, like, no, the point is you get away from your computer.
What are the plans for the future, Stina, in terms of growing? And we reached the 7 people almost.
Yeah, so I guess the next milestone is to get to 100 and then to 150 and 200 and so forth, right? But this is not something that's going to happen overnight. We're building the company slowly and in a good way that is sustainable for the future, right? And we have some open positions.
We do. We have a lot of developers open positions, so yeah, they're more than welcome to apply. You'll also see in our career site that we don't have like a very specified if we want a senior developer or a junior developer. We're welcoming good people that want to work with us. So everyone that wants to be here, feel free to apply, join us.